TitleMatchNetwork.com.
What was it like working with Sherri Martel?
She was cool. Sherri was very cool. She was great with me. She was very protective of me because, one, I was going singles, and that was still at a time when a lot of the older guys were here. So they wouldn't sell for me. They wouldn't do a lot of things. Didn't want to put me over. Ran into a great many problems. And all the time, she was very supportive, and she'd see, guys were stiff with me, and she'd say, "Throw them out here." I'd throw them out, and she'd get them.
Right.
Wow, she'd kick them and scratch them, and then they'd come back into me. Don't throw me out there. But she was, and she had been with Randy, so she was also very smart, and she could see this bullshit. These guys, she said, they're being stiff with you. They don't want to put you over. They're not selling for you. She said, and half of them are being pricks behind your back and going and talking to them, trying to bury it. So there were a lot of things that I had to go through, which in turn made me angry, which in turn was the reason later on in my career I stuffed it in everybody's face.
Right. And then you had your run with Bulldog, and you won the IC title.
Right.
What are your memories of some matches with British Bulldog?
All good. Me and Davey had really good matches. The only thing I don't like is that I don't think we ever got credit for it. I thought they were good, and I just didn't like the fact that he didn't get that much credit for them, and they don't. Not until years later, I think, until I got out of wrestling, people go, "They matches with the Bulldog were really good." But I thought Davey was always really easy to work with and a lot of fun.
Right.
And it was just, not doesn't bother me like tons. It was just like I think I could have had, because I never really wanted to do a really big long angle with Davey. Davey was always a guy that came in, he did one shot with, and then he went somewhere else, and you went and did a program with somebody else. But he never got to work a program with people because I'm guessing it's because he wasn't that great on the stick,
right?
On talking. But he was a great worker and really a great deal of fun to work with because he wasn't hung up on anything. He was the first guy that I got to work with that was more concerned about just having a good match like I was.
Yeah, a lot of guys basically back in the day, they just went through the motions. And
right.
I mean, they still do today. And did you ever have heat behind the scenes? I know Ricky Steamboat said that he always had heat with certain guys because he'd go out there and work an awesome match. And then the other guys would have to follow his match and be like, oh, you just killed me.
Oh, yeah. And they would say, you're doing too much. You got to stop doing that much. That doesn't make sense. And, oh, yeah. And again, that's, as I was saying to you earlier, that's why later on, when I finally got a chance to make it, I was finally able to say, no, fuck you.
Right.
You guys were pricks to me for so long. Now I'm a great guy. I didn't forget any of that stuff. But they were exactly like that. They were all extremely lazy. I mean, when Marty and I came in there, it wasn't 2 months before he and I were closing every show with the Conquistadors. We'd go on last. Hogan would go on fourth or fifth before intermission. He'd be gone. Marty and I closed every show. And then when I went singles after that, I closed just about every show in my career in the WWF, and I was never getting main event pay until the end.
What was Hulk Hogan like in the locker room at the time?
He wasn't in our locker room. He had his own locker room. So, but he was all right. My honest opinion of him was that, I could tell that he was a worker right off the bat.
Right.
He knew very well not much of what came out of his mouth was the truth. He always had an agenda to everything he did and said.
TitleMatchNetwork.com.